Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another episode of the Committee Reads. I am your host, Kaiju X, and with me today I have GBR, Nagoda, Bacon, and Ditto. And today we will be reading Match 174, Anguirus vs. Titanosaurus, by Jerry Hobson. Winter descended upon the wilderness of Canada, encrusting the forest in sparkling white snow as far as the eye could see, and stretching all the way to the coast, engulfing a long-forgotten lumberjack sawmill in its midst. Animals had taken refuge within the surrounding trees, and even inside the age-old buildings themselves, looking to hibernate till spring, but they were in for a rude awakening. Rearing his head over the hillside, Anguirus bellowed a triumphant roar, rocking the trees that hadn't been bulldozed on his arrival around him as he saw the glistening water ahead. He had trekked for weeks, but his destination was within reach. Just like his smaller peers below, Anguirus was preparing for winter and crossed the stretch. The stretch of water was the Canadian mainland, his chosen place of slumber. As he leaned closer to shore, a huge wave erupted from the channel and a towering red devil emerged, shrieking and cackling into the sky. It then laid its eyes upon Anguirus, and its upper lip slowly curled. Titanosaurus gazed upon the world for the first time in countless centuries. It had been millennia ago since air had breezed upon his thick scales, his fins had swayed in the wind, or his appetite had been so big. After having woken from a deep freeze of 75 million years,
global warming.
Yes, Titanosaurus looked upon the shore, spotting his first meal in sight. He flexed his muscly arms and shrieked at Anguirus, challenging the smaller kaiju to battle, to which he accepted. If defeating this behemoth was Anguirus' only way of passage through, then so be it. Standing on his hind legs, Anguirus let out a defiant roar, determination and fury raging within his eyes. Pass.
The Titanosaurus set foot on shore, bearing his full height upon Anguirus. While refusing to show it, Anguirus was taken aback as to how large his opponent was. He stood taller than even Godzilla himself. Showing no signs of backing down, Anguirus pounced, lunging for his bigger opponent, but his efforts were swiftly met with a blow to the face. Titanosaurus cackled gleefully and closed in on his dazed opponent. Anguirus was stunned shortly after Titanosaurus' heavy blow, but recovered quickly. He was used to this sort of beating, but knew he'd have to give far more than he could take if he wanted to claim the victory. He stood up to his full height and roared, taunting the dinosaur that his blow was nothing to him. Eager to put the smaller kaiju down, Titanosaurus' fist flew again towards Anguirus, but it was met with the monster's own four-fingered claw. Anguirus met the other hand before it could reach him, and the monsters fiercely wrestled with each other. Anguirus was small, but he could hold his ground. Although against savage opposition such as Titanosaurus, he had to act quickly if he wanted to gain the upper hand. Hunger was driving Titanosaurus mad, his instincts quickly overwhelming his situational awareness. Without even thinking, the monster tore his hands away from Anguirus and lunged for the armored kaiju's neck with his jaws. Being too quick for Anguirus to react to, and sunk his teeth into his throat, drawing first blood. Luckily for Anguirus, Titanosaurus' teeth were small for his size, as he mainly fed on sea life during his reign in the Mesozoic era, and so weren't as lethal as they would have been if another kaiju was in his position. Taking advantage of this, Anguirus clawed and battered Titanosaurus' face and cheekbones until the monster let go. He wasn't used to his prey fighting back, and grew frustrated by Anguirus' refusal to submit. Almost as soon as he was released, Anguirus charged head-on, racing into the monster's body and ripping flesh from his torso. His front horn piercing through Titanosaurus' skin. Instantly reacting out of shock and pain, Titanosaurus bellowed a shrieking cackle and booted Anguirus' jaw, stunning his attacker and sending him careening into the side of one of the old sawmill buildings. Pass.
Making his moment count, Titanosaurus followed up by kicking Anguirus over to his soft underbelly, his one point of exposure, and dug in with his teeth and claws. The snow beneath their feet gradually became redder and redder, as Titanosaurus' fury continued, tearing at his opponent's skin till there was none. The dinosaur monster cackled with triumph as he sliced away. However, Anguirus persevered and endured the pain, retaliating by using his spiky tail to pierce his opponent. The spikes slashed at the dinosaur's back and tail until he withdrew. Anguirus saw the opportunity to get back up. Rolling onto his gashed stomach, he attempted to stand back up, but then realized he was missing all the skin on his stomach and fell back down. But Titanosaurus wasn't finished yet. As Anguirus tried getting all four of his feet back on the ground of the blood-soaked snow, Titanosaurus seized the monster's serrated tail, overcoming the pain with sheer will and anger. He dragged Anguirus' tail in a round circular motion, until his four legs were off the ground and spinning considerably fast. Finally, releasing his grip, Titanosaurus hurled Anguirus, sending him soaring to the other side of the nearby mountain. The blood from Titanosaurus's hands dripped continuously on the ground, but he wasn't bothered by that. This meal had shown tenacity and spirit in his fight for survival against the prehistoric titan. He was sure that Anguirus wasn't out for the count that easily. Snarling as he made his way to confirm his kill, Titanosaurus was disturbed by rumbling tremors in the ground. As he looked around him, the ground shaking ever so furiously, Titanosaurus couldn't see anything beneath the thick snow that covered the surface. The thought of treading back to his aquatic home occurred to him, and he couldn't let a meal like this pass up. Undecided by his own thoughts, he left himself wide open and was horrified when the ground erupted from beneath him. Snow-covered spikes revealed themselves, and Titanosaurus was toppled onto his stomach as Anguirus emerged from the snow. The monster's foot grasped in his jaws. Pass.
With the titan in his power, Anguirus loomed over Titanosaurus, pinning his arm down and grabbing the beast's head, slamming it into the ground repeatedly until the snow turned red and the wails of the ancient monster grew weaker and weaker. When Titanosaurus stopped howling, Anguirus' beating stopped along with it. Grabbing his head by the fin, Anguirus claimed victory and more triumphantly in the kaiju's face. Tossing his opponent aside and made his way towards the shore. To Titanosaurus, however, this was the perfect opportunity to counterattack. As Anguirus paddled into the bitter cold sea, and the Titanosaurus dragged himself across the blood-soaked snow. His hands still weak from the spikes on Anguirus' tail, he slipped nose first into the water and took off after his opponent, slowly being reinvigorated from his familiar surroundings. While Anguirus was a capable swimmer, he was no master of the sea. What was about to happen would put him at a huge disadvantage. The Titanosaurus' jaws dug into Anguirus' foot and dragged the smaller kaiju underwater before he could react. Anguirus gathered that both his opponent wasn't defeated just yet and that they were fighting on his turf now. The Titanosaurus' streamlined body made him an adept swimmer, allowing him to swim at fast speeds and attack its prey swiftly and fiercely before they could react. Anguirus' round body made him very vulnerable in the water. The dinosaur monster surged towards Anguirus, dashing past his enemy, but his wide tail caught him smack bang in the jaw. Seizing the moment, the Titanosaurus thrust himself at the smaller opponent, his small teeth again grasping his neck and through sheer force dragging the kaiju deeper and deeper beneath the waves in an attempt to drown him. Past.
The water around them was quickly becoming colored like the bloodied snow above, as the two kaiju tussled for power over the other. Anguirus knew he had to act fast if he was to have any chance of survival. Clawing away at Titanosaurus' face, the determined kaiju saw his chance, reaching his bloody neck over just enough. Anguirus bit down onto Titanosaurus' head fin. Taken by surprise, Titanosaurus retracted his mouth and claws as he gurgled in pain. Helpless against Anguirus' stronger jaws, he lost his skin as it was ripped from his head by his ferocious opponent. Further not letting this golden chance of victory be wasted, Anguirus lunged for Titanosaurus' neck. Unlike his sea-dwelling adversary, his teeth were well equipped for digging into the rough and thick skin of other kaiju. Sinking his teeth deep into the dinosaur's throat, Anguirus began pushing towards the surface as his larger opponent struggled for his life. With his gills ripped to pieces, Titanosaurus needed immediate air to breathe. If he was survived, but unfortunately, fate had other plans. When Anguirus felt Titanosaurus had stopped struggling, he released his grip, letting his opponent sink into the red abyss, his home below. Titanosaurus disappeared beneath the mighty waves, again, just like he had 75 million years ago, only this time it was for good. Anguirus surfaced onto the nearest spot of land he could find. He was bruised, battered, but ultimately triumphant. He conquered his foe and laid the Titan to rest in his own domain. Rearing up on his hind legs, Anguirus bellowed a mighty roar, a howl for all to hear, rocking trees and sending gulls and other birds scattering in all directions. Setting back down, Anguirus turned, dragging his tail along the sparkling white plains and plodded forward, continuing his journey south, leaving bulldozed trees and a trail of faint red snow in his wake. Winner, Anguirus Showa.
Hey. Yeah, no,
Nice.
actually, like, again, for as simple as it is, I really like this match. I think this is more kind of like what I'm looking for. It's got good action. It's got, like, it's nice. It's, like, nice and good. I think it's just all around, like, good stuff. I actually found myself kind of engaged with it throughout, and it's just like, oh yeah, no, this is perfectly fine. I will say though, as the guy who made the banner for this, I will make this clear. I do not regret using the Godzilla trading battle monster sprites. I am still proud of that. The one element that I wish I could change is the snow. I think the snow looks pretty off and kind of just slapped on there. And I'm looking at it now, it's like, why did I do... Because I think I had forgotten how I did the blur effect at the time. So, it's still like early in the KWC, like early in my KWC career in a way. So it's like, yeah, no, I forgot. Like, not all my talents are as developed as they are now. And it's like, why did I not just do it differently? Kaiju X, you silly boy. But yeah, no, it's like I still like it. I still like my banner. This one, just not the snow. That is the weakest part, and I think that kind of takes it away a bit because I do. Gosh darn it! The one time I use the trading battle sprite's good, and I ruin it. But yeah, no, the actual match itself, though, I am actually. I think it's an enjoyable and fun read. For the most part, like maybe just a couple minor things here and there, but nothing that took me out of it. So, GVR, what do you think of it?
It's okay. It's fine. I don't really have anything to say. It's just it's a solid fight. Good. Man, it looks good. I agree with what you said. It's just like it looks good, but there are issues.
Yeah.
Especially because I assume it's supposed to be like a frozen lake.
I don't think were they explicit with that being a frozen lake?
I mean, I just assume like it's a frozen tundra.
I mean, like, yeah, just because there's snow. I mean, it's like the actual photograph. It's snow, so it has to be cold. Doesn't mean the lake's frozen.
Well, I just say like because of the way Anguirus is splashing into it, like I would expect there to be like ice flying as well.
I guess that's true. I was too happy with the water splashing. I didn't give the ice enough credit.
Yeah. I mean, it looks frozen to me, zooming in. But yeah, good. Fun match.
Yeah. Nagoto, what'd you think of it?
What was that? Oh yeah, sorry. I had my thing muted. Nice and simple tooth and claw match. It's good. Short but good. The banner is nice looking. The snow effects look a bit odd. Like you can tell it's just like you can see the same snowflake 3 different times on here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I like the water effects on them. Other than that, it's a good match, good banner. All right, who's next?
Me. I think it was fine. It was a fine match. Tooth and claw. I liked the banner. It was easy to read. It had some repetition issues here and there, but it was alright.
Yeah.
That's all I really got to say. It's passable by my standards of currency. Ditto.
Yeah, I like the banner. I think it looks pretty good. I think the trading battle sprite looks fine. Like it doesn't look too out of place, especially with like all the snow and stuff. Did you make a reflection on the ice?
Yeah, like a reflection of Titanosaurus on the ice there, or the lake. Yeah,
that's pretty neat. I like that. Yeah, I like the snow. I think the snow could have been blurred a bit, so that way it doesn't look kind of like solid.
Oh, definitely.
colors.
Again, my incompetent youth. Gosh darn it! You should have blurred it at least.
Yeah, and then I like how you got Anguirus kind of like. Is he also a sprite?
Yeah, he's also the sprite. Yep.
Okay, it looks good. I didn't notice that. I thought Titanosaurus was the only one. So I like how you have like the trees kind of between them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're in between the trees, and you have like some on the left and then the right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like it, and I like the snowy landscape we got going on.
Mm-hmm.
I like this banner. The match itself, yeah, it's simple. It goes by pretty quick, but I like it. It's got good like tooth and claw action and all that. I like how stuff like Titanosaurus's jaws not being really meant for large kaiju was a factor. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'd say it's a pretty solid match. Something if you want to read something quick, then yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, no, like nothing too crazy. I mean, it's like, what can we really elaborate on? Nice, simple,
Yeah.
nice, simple tooth and claw match that's actually like competent compared to the past stuff. So, but with that said, this has been match 174, and we're gonna see you guys next time for match 175. Till then, everyone.